You think you are lazy, but here's what's actually happening. Your brain has learned to associate effort with pain and instant gratification with survival. This is why discipline feels impossible. If you're ambitious and inspired, but you can't seem to take action, this is going to be the most valuable video you watch, because all you have to do to start winning in life is understand how your mind works. I call this the mental redirection system. There are 7 habits hijacking your motivation, and I'm going to be showing you the psychology behind each one and how to replace them. Let's dive in. Habit 1: endless stimulation seeking. This is when you can't sit with boredom for more than 30 seconds. You reach for your phone the moment you feel uncomfortable, and if you reach for your phone while watching this video, let me know in the comments, cause you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's the psychology behind it. Your brain craves novelty and unpredictability. It's wired for survival. Social media hijacks this by providing endless micro hits of curiosity satisfaction. Every scroll promises something new, creating what I call stimulation dependency. That's when normal life feels boring because your brain is constantly seeking the next hit. Notice what happens. You feel bored or uncomfortable. You reach for your phone. You get a small pleasure hit. Your brain remembers this pattern. You're unconsciously teaching your mind that discomfort should be immediately escaped, not endured or used productively. So here's how you redirect it. Replace stimulation seeking with curiosity channeling. When you feel the urge to scroll, ask yourself this question: what's one thing I'm curious about related to my goals? Then spend 15 minutes exploring that instead. You are giving your brain the novelty it craves while directing it towards growth. Your mind still gets satisfied, but now it's building something. And trust me, habit 2 is where most young men completely destroy their dopamine sensitivity. This one is brutal. Habit 2: layered pleasure seeking. This is consuming multiple sources of pleasure simultaneously. Eating while watching YouTube. I'm guilty of that one. Scrolling while listening to music. Gaming with a podcast on. Your brain interprets this as maximum efficiency for pleasure gathering, but it creates what I call pleasure inflation, where single activities can no longer satisfy you because your baseline of stimulation keeps rising. Here's what's happening psychologically. You've trained your brain to associate pleasure with intensity rather than quality. Simple activities like reading or walking can't compete with the multi-layered stimulation you are used to, so your mind categorizes them as not worth the effort. This is why studying feels boring, why you can't focus on one thing, why everything needs background noise or entertainment to feel tolerable. You're literally teaching your brain that normal stimulation isn't enough. So here's the redirect. Practice single source satisfaction. Deliberately engage with one thing at a time and find something to appreciate about it. This retrains your brain to find richness in simplicity. You are not depriving yourself. You are teaching your mind to extract more pleasure from less input, which makes productive activities naturally more appealing. Start with meals. Just eat. No phone, no videos, no music. Your brain will resist this, but that resistance is proof the pattern needs breaking. Now, if you think habit 2 was bad, habit 3 is where young men unknowingly destroy their sleep and sabotage tomorrow's energy. And the psychology behind this one will blow your mind. Habit 3: control compensation. This is staying up late, scrolling or gaming when you know you should sleep. And it's not really about entertainment. It's about control. After a day of obligations and external demands, your brain seeks autonomy. Late night screen time feels like finally time that's mine. You're unconsciously compensating for feeling powerless during the day by claiming power over your night. Here's the psychological trap. Your mind creates a false equation. Structured day equals loss of freedom. Unstructured night equals reclaimed freedom. But this creates a vicious cycle. You sabotage tomorrow's energy to feel autonomous today, which makes tomorrow feel even more constraining. So you need even more control compensation the next night. This is why you can't break the cycle. You are not just fighting sleep. You are fighting for psychological autonomy. Your brain literally thinks going to bed early means surrendering control. Here's the redirect. Replace control compensation with proactive autonomy. Build 30 minutes of genuinely free choice into your day. Pursue a hobby. Take a walk. Work on something you actually care about. When your brain knows it will get authentic autonomy, it stops needing to steal it at bedtime. You are satisfying the need for control without destroying tomorrow's capacity. The key is making this non-negotiable. Your brain needs to trust that this time belongs to you. Now, those first 3 habits are about managing inputs, but habits 4 to 7, they're about how to unconsciously train your brain to avoid effort itself. And once you understand this mechanism, you'll see why willpower never worked. Habit 4. Effort avoidance training. This is choosing the easiest option every single time. Food delivery over cooking, watching over creating, buying over building. And if you're honest, you probably did at least 3 of these this week. Comment below the ones you did. Here's what's actually happening psychologically. Every time you choose the easiest option, you are sending your brain a message. Effort is something to be avoided. Your mind is always learning, and it's learning that you prefer paths of least resistance. This creates what I call effort phobia, where your brain starts categorizing any difficulty as unnecessary stress. Think about it. Your subconscious begins to believe that if something requires effort, there must be an easier way you haven't found yet. So instead of engaging with challenges, your mind starts looking for shortcuts, hacks, ways to avoid the work entirely. This is why you procrastinate on important tasks. It's not laziness. Your brain is literally protecting you from what it perceives as unnecessary suffering. But here's the redirect. Practice effort appreciation. Regularly choose the slightly harder option and consciously acknowledge the satisfaction it provides. Cook instead of ordering. Walk instead of driving. Build instead of buying when possible. You are retraining your brain to associate effort with competence rather than inconvenience. The key is starting small. Your brain needs proof that effort leads to satisfaction, not pain. Now, habit 5 is where most young men accidentally destroy their ability to delay gratification. And this one controls everything. Habit 5. Instant decision reinforcement. This isn't just about money. It's about training your brain that good feelings should be accessible instantly. Every time you buy something without reflection, you reinforce what I call immediacy bias. Your mind learns to expect that discomfort should be immediately resolved rather than tolerated or examined. If you are feeling bored, you seek immediate entertainment. If you are feeling challenged, you seek immediate relief. You've accidentally trained your brain to treat all discomfort as an emergency requiring instant solution. Here's why this destroys discipline. Your brain starts generalizing this pattern beyond shopping. When you face any uncomfortable situation, your first instinct becomes escape, not engagement. Difficult conversations, avoid it. Challenging workouts, skip it. Complex project, procrastinate. Your mind has learned that discomfort equals danger, not growth. This is the foundation of weak discipline. So here's the redirect. Use pause and redirect. When you want to buy something non-essential, pause and ask yourself this question. What am I actually trying to feel right now? Then find a non-purchasing way to address that need. If you are bored, call a friend. If you are stressed, take a walk. If you are frustrated, journal about it. You are teaching your brain that discomfort can be examined and resolved thoughtfully rather than escaped immediately. This single practice rebuilds your delay tolerance, which is the foundation of every other form of discipline. Now, habit 6 is where young men unknowingly shrink their comfort zone. And this one affects every area of your life. Habit 6. Discomfort avoidance conditioning. This is avoiding difficult conversations, challenging tasks, or uncomfortable situations. And every time you do this, you train your brain to perceive discomfort as danger rather than growth. Your mind starts building what I call avoidance pathways, mental routes that automatically steer you away from anything that feels uncertain or challenging. Here's the psychological trap. Each time you avoid discomfort, your brain reinforces the belief that you can't handle difficult things. This creates a shrinking comfort zone where your mind becomes increasingly sensitive to any form of psychological challenge. Eventually, even small difficulties feel overwhelming. That difficult conversation with your boss feels impossible. Starting that side project, too scary. Going to the gym when you are tired, not happening. Your brain has learned that you are fragile, so it protects you by keeping you small. This is why confident guys seem to handle stress better. It's not that they don't feel discomfort. They've trained their brain to see discomfort as information, not danger. Here's the redirect. Practice micro discomfort exposure. Regularly do small things that feel slightly uncomfortable. Make that phone call you've been avoiding. Have that conversation you've been putting off. Tackle the tasks you keep postponing. Start ridiculously small. Your goal isn't to become fearless overnight. It's to teach your brain that discomfort doesn't equal danger. Each small exposure builds psychological resilience incrementally. Your mind learns you can handle more than it thought. Now, habit 7 is the big one. This is how young men accidentally train themselves to be spectators in their own life. And once you understand this pattern, everything else makes sense. Habit 7. Passive consumption identity. This is the big one. Constant consumption trains your brain to see yourself as an audience member in life rather than the main character. Videos, articles, entertainment, social media. Your mind starts defaulting to observer mode, where you're more comfortable consuming other people's experiences than creating your own. Here's the psychological shift that happens. Your brain begins to associate identity with what you consume rather than what you create. You start thinking, I'm the type of person who watches this, instead of I'm the type of person who does this. This creates what I call spectator psychology, where your mind feels safer observing life than participating in it. Think about this for a second. How much time did you spend consuming content yesterday versus creating something? If you're being honest, it was probably 10 to 1, maybe worse. Drop your ratio in the comments if you are brave enough. Here's why this is devastating. When you consume more than you create, your brain learns that your value comes from what you take in, not what you put out. You become an expert at recognizing good content while terrible at making it. You understand what success looks like, but feel incapable of achieving it yourself. This is why you feel stuck. Your mind has been trained to see yourself as someone who watches successful people, not someone who becomes successful. The solution is creator-consumer balance. For every hour you spend consuming content, spend at least 20 minutes creating something, writing, building, problem solving, practicing. You are rewiring your brain to see yourself as someone who acts on ideas, not just collect them. This rebuilds what psychologists call agency, the belief that you can influence your circumstances rather than just react to them. Start today. Before you watch another video, create something first, even if it's terrible. Your brain needs proof that you are a creator, not just a consumer. Now that you understand all 7 habits, here's what most people get wrong about changing them. Here's what I want you to understand. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do things you hate. It's about recognizing that your brain is constantly learning. And right now, it's learning patterns that make effort feel impossible and instant gratification feel necessary. But your mind is incredibly adaptable. When you redirect these 7 habits, you're not fighting against your brain, you are working with it. You are teaching it that effort leads to satisfaction, that discomfort leads to growth, and that you are someone who creates rather than just consumes. The goal isn't perfection, it's recognizing these patterns when they show up and having a plan to redirect them. Your brain wants to help you succeed. You just need to show it what success actually looks like. So here is your next step. Pick 1 habit from today's video, just 1. And for the next week, practice the redirect strategy every time you catch yourself in that pattern. Don't try to change everything at once. Your brain learns through repetition, not revolution. The moment you start redirecting instead of reacting, you are no longer the person who calls themselves lazy. You are someone who understands how their mind works and uses that knowledge to build the life they want. That's the difference between boys and men. Boys react to their impulses. Men redirect them towards their goals. Remember, the path is yours to walk, and as always, I'm in your corner rooting for you.